news tonight. Buhari insists bad Nigerians abroad don't represent us. An EFCC begins probe of Obasanjo's $16 billion power project arrest for. Buratai unveils new building for Army Intelligence Corps. Constitution changes to solidify Kim's rule in North Korea. Kirsten Gillibrand drops out of U.S. presidential election 2020. This is the news on the hour on Television Nigerian. Thanks for joining us. I am Priscilla Iworm. President Muhammadu Buhari has said that the few Nigerians abroad indulging in criminal activities do not represent the values of majority of the people of the country. The president's spokesman, Femi Adesina, in a statement in Abuja said President Buhari stated this when he met with leaders of the Nigerian community living in Japan. The meeting was on the sidelines of the 7th Tokyo International Conference on African Development on Thursday in Yokohama, Japan, while urging Nigerians in Japan to be good ambassadors of their fatherland. The Nigerian leader said he is personally grateful that there are millions of Nigerians all over the world who are truly making the country proud. He described majority of the over 17 million Nigerians in diaspora as the face of Nigeria globally and ambassadors for good. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, says a well-equipped Nigerian Army Intelligence Command will have a multiplier effect in the ongoing war and insurgency, even as it strives to continue taking actions through knowledge. General Buratai stated this while formally unveiling the newly built Nigerian Army Intelligence Corps Annex building in Abuja. Defense correspondent Lawrence Audu has the report.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, has assured that he will continue to make deliberate efforts to ensure that the Nigerian Army is ever ahead and remain dynamic by collectively striving to take action through knowledge. General Buratai was speaking when he formally unveiled the newly built Nigerian Army Intelligence Corps Annex building in Abuja.
Since my assumption of command as the Chief of Army Staff, I have made deliberate efforts to enhance the overall operational capabilities of the Nigerian Army. This I have strived to achieve through implementation of an innovative strategy to ensure that the Nigerian Army is always ahead of the adversary in this complex and ever-dynamic asymmetric threat environment. To this end, we have also made deliberate efforts to uplift the welfare and administrative standards of military personnel and formations, respectively through new targeted infrastructural developments and focused overhauling of existing ones to meet international standards.
He maintained that he has a firm belief that a well-equipped Nigerian Army Intelligence Command will have a multiplier effect.
Let me state categorically that it is not coincidental that I have made conscious efforts to ensure the general uplift of the operational capability of Nigerian Army Intelligence Corps. This is given the primacy of intelligence in combating contemporary asymmetric threats to national security.
Addressing dignitaries at the event, the commander, Nigerian Army Intelligence Corps, Major General Samuel Adebayo, noted that despite the fast mode of construction, the newly built Counterintelligence Command is equipped with the state-of-the-art facilities.
The offices to be commissioned today will be housing critical operational support elements of the Nigerian Army Intelligence Corps, and it's already well equipped to ensure their optimal performance. These elements include the Counterintelligence Command, the PSYOPS Intelligence Command, and the Headquarters Night Camp. In addition to the Headquarters Annex, please be informed that the Chief of Army Staff will also be commissioning a well-equipped command and control center, a forensic laboratory domiciled within the new Headquarters Night Complex. So it means when we finish here, we still go there to continue the commissioning. I am also proud to inform this distinguished audience that the Chief of Army Staff has approved funds and training of NAIC officers and soldiers to operate this technical and forensic equipment, which has been concluded.
The edifice commissioned on Wednesday was approved for construction on the 12th of December 2018 during the formal launching of the Nigerian Army Intelligence Headquarters and was completed within a space of 9 months. The event witnessed attendance of principal staff officers from the Army Headquarters, including the Chief of Policy and Plans, Lieutenant General Lamidi Adeosun, corps commanders, and traditional rulers. From the Nigerian Army Intelligence Corps Headquarters, Lawrence Alton.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on Wednesday detained 2 top officials of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, the company which supervised execution of the $16 billion field power project. The officials head of the finance Marvel Emefiele and head of compensation Eze MC Odigbo are expected to account for the 850 million naira earmarked as compensation to communities where components of the power project were cited. Others in EFCC net are Managing Director of Pivot Engineering Richard Ayebiowu and the Managing Director of Chris Ejik Nigeria Limited, Christian Ejik Imoka. Detectives are on the trail of 18 more suspects, including 2 former governors, a former chairman of a bank and a former chairman of an airline, and about 15 more companies are also on the EFCC radar. NGO advocates for women empowerment and family planning. A non-governmental organization, Vaccine Network for Disease Control Initiative, organized an event to enlighten the general public of the importance of women in leadership, education of girl child, and the benefits of planning, especially for those in the grassroots. Zoera Hamzat has the report.
The entire event, which was aimed at enlightening the general public on why women should be included in political and non-political positions, why it is essential to guide families on maternal spacing, the harm of having children which they can't cater for, and at the end, it results in neglecting the girl child from being educated. The pioneer of the occasion, Chika Ofo, spoke on the benefit of the inclusion of women in leadership and the harm it will cause if women are not allowed to maximize their potentials.
When you empower a woman, you empower the community. From our analysis and data gathering, we noticed that most of the women, we empowered about 700 women. All those women that we empowered, their children went to school. There was a kind of balance in the home. The children were healthier because when they had any illness, the woman was not afraid to go to the health center. So from that knowledge, I discovered that it is very, very important for women to be included in leadership.
Participants at the event also gave their opinion on empowering women and why the society needs to encourage maternal spacing.
Family planning or spacing is allowed in Islam. In a situation whereby a woman gives birth to a child, you know, Islamically, nursing a child is 2 years. But if she can get a child before the nursing period, the end of the nursing period, before 2 years, she got another pregnancy, Islam allowed her to have to do spacing. Why? Because according to the doctors, if there is not spacing in that period, it will affect the woman health-wise.
Many of our women in that Basanjoa, we didn't pass, for the whole women of Basanjoa, we didn't pass 5 that were not moving to farm. But the rest are farming. They are going to the river, be fetching sand, and sell it. And we don't have any market to be shifting our business. And we need school, women's school. They didn't build anything for us. And most of our children, they are at home. They are not schooling. So we need help from that.
It's very important to involve women in leadership at every level in our country. Leadership at the community level, leadership at the local government level, at the state level, and also national level. Because if you involve the women at inclusion everywhere, you tend to see a better well-informed society.
I'm Zoira Hamza, reporting for TVN.
Investing in the communities affected by crisis was the focus of the roundtable organized by the Bank of Industry to prefer financial development using technology to reach affected areas in Nigeria. TVN correspondent Uchechi Nlemuwa was at the roundtable and filed in this report.
Nigeria is rich in human capital, cultural diversity, and entrepreneurial spirit. In recent years, regions of the country have been overrun by armed conflict, resulting in development challenges and ongoing crises. To this effect, the Bank of Industry considered the crisis as part of setback to the development of country, thereby initiating ways to curb the problem.
The Bank of Industry has embarked on an economic revival plan for the Northeast region. Our objective is to stem the spread of poverty and reduce the reliance of the indigenous on humanitarian aid. In the last 4 years, the bank has provided financial support amounting to 678 billion naira, an equivalent of about $2.4 billion, to over 2 million enterprises in the country.
In the course of providing solutions to these menace of development challenges, the Bank of Industry has considered building coalition to review information and the data collected from community affected by conflict and crisis through qualitative research.
So we engaged, we partnered with ECC, and they actually undertook visiting the communities, which, as you said, they're not new to the Northeast, or as a matter of fact, to areas of similar crisis in Nigeria. So even though we're focusing on the Northeast, in terms of this particular intervention, it is a national crisis.
Keynote speaker at the event, Dr. Ayuade Ola, emphasized on the need to rehabilitate and kickstart the economy in conflict-affected areas in Nigeria.
The key to revitalizing the Northeast lies in restoring means of livelihood as well as boosting economic activities and access to microcredit, SME loans, and thus renewing a sense of self-sufficiency that makes them less likely to be used as tools of insurgency.
And this is a Nigeria problem, and it requires a Nigeria solutions, and we are here to help you implement those solutions.
Uchechi Nlemuwa, TVN News, Abuja.
Up next is the TVN Business Update with Chinwendu Osisiogun. Stand by.
A new survey by the Central Bank of Nigeria has revealed that firms, including small, medium, and large organizations, expect borrowing costs to rise this month and in the next 12 months. The CBN August 2018 Business Expectation Survey report showed that the firm expect the Naira to appreciate in the current month, next month, and next 12 months as their confidence indices stood at 27.5, 38.4, and 52.3 index points respectively. The Central Bank of Nigeria said the survey was conducted between August 12 and 21, 2019 with a sample size of 50 businesses in the services, industrial, wholesale, retail trade, and construction sectors. The CBN said the respondent average expected inflation rates in the next 6 months and the next 12 months stood at 11.6 and 11.4% respectively. It said that the respondent anticipates better economic condition as their index of economic growth rose in the short run with an index of 35.4, 47.9, and 58.5 points for the current month, next 6 months, and next 12 months respectively. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission says the report of electricity distribution companies on compliance with the August 31st deadline to meter ministries, departments, and agencies will determine the next line of action. General Manager Public Affairs NEC, Dr. Usman Abba Arabi, spoke with our correspondent on telephone on Wednesday, 3 days to the expiration of the deadline. It was reported that the Commission had given an August 31st deadline to the power distribution companies to install meters at the MDAs of federal and state government. The order was jointly signed by Professor James Momo, Chairman, and Daffy Akpe-Neye of the Legal Licensing and Compliance at NEC. The Commission said it was mandatory for the power distributors to provide all the MDAs with appropriate meters within a period of 60 days beginning from July 1st. The Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management of Nigeria on Wednesday said the country loses about 30% of her procurement budget yearly due to ineffective and inefficient procurement process and system. It said it is largely proliferated by non-professionals and quacks. A report by the World Bank revealed that most countries spend between 80% to 90% of their budget on procurement. CIPSMN President Alhaji Jibri Ado spoke in Abuja at his B mandatory proficiency development program with ensuring compliance with statutory provisions of the PPA 2007 and leverage procurement professionalism and best practices for the growth of Nigerian economy as team. He said Nigerian wastes at least 30% of the money earmarked for procurement due to inefficient procurement system and process. But that's much we have for you today on TVN Business Updates. I am Chiwendu Osisego.
Thanks, Chiwendu, for that business update, and thank you for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, this is the news on the hour on television Nigerian. Still to come, constitution changes to solidify Kim's role in North Korea. And Kristen Gillibrand drops out of U.S. presidential election 2020. North Korea's parliament has approved changes to the country's constitution to solidify Kim Jong-un's role as head of state. State media confirmed on Thursday that the move is coming after Kim was formally named head of state and commander-in-chief of the military in a new constitution in July, which analysts said was possibly aimed at preparing for a peace treaty with the U.S. North Korea has long called for a peace deal with the U.S. to normalize relations and end the technical state of war that has existed since the 1950-1953 Korean War ended with an armistice rather than a peace treaty. The Presidium President had historically been the nominal head of state, but the new constitution said that Kim, as chairman of the State Affairs Commission, a top governing body created in 2016, was the supreme representative of all the Korean people, which means head of state as well as commander-in-chief. Protesters in Indonesia's easternmost region of Papua on Thursday set buildings ablaze, forcing the state power firm to cut off electricity in parts of the provincial capital of Jayapura. For almost 2 weeks, the region has been racked by civil unrest over perceived racial and ethnic discrimination, although some protesters are demanding an independent vote. Police Chief Tito Canavian says it has deployed 300 mobile brigade personnel to the towns of Delvia, Panay, and Jayapura after Wednesday's incident. The government has cut internet access in the region since last week to stop people sharing provocative messages that could trigger more violence, a step criticized by rights groups and journalists who said it had more reporting difficult. A popular and controversial Egyptian television talk show host has been suspended from appearing in the media for a year over remarks she made on air about obesity among Egyptian women. Egypt's media regulator said Reham Saeed breached professional standards by using words and phrases that were clearly offensive to women in Egypt. Critics say her remarks were in line with a recent anti-obesity drive by the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, but have, however, attracted a storm of criticism. Saeed told her fans last week on Facebook and Instagram that she was quitting as TV anchor because of the backlash. To end the news, Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand has ended her candidacy for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination. Gillibrand announced her decision to withdraw in an online video after failing to qualify for a third Democratic debate in September. The 52-year-old has been a vocal advocate for women's rights, but her campaign failed to gain traction. She was appointed to her seat in the U.S. Senate in 2009 when Hillary Clinton accepted the role of U.S. Secretary of State under former President Barack Obama. She has been an outspoken supporter for the Me Too movement as well as advocating for victims of sexual assault on college campuses and the military. And that's all we have for you on the news on the hour. Many thanks for watching. I am Priscilla Iver. Good night.